Now today I want to tell you the story of Jane. Jane was rushing home after work, and after a busy day she was really tired and just crumbled in front of her TV and almost like in trance took out her cookie jar and started eating while browsing through Netflix. She saw a movie about a little girl who was bored at night. And because her parents were not really playing with her, she started eating cookies every single night. And she realized after some time that this was actually her. Jane, many years ago, started eating cookies when her parents came home and were just too busy to be with her. Jane thought, oh, my parents don't love me, and started eating cookie. And eventually she realized, or she associated the cookies giving her the love she so craved from her parents. When Jane realized that, a light bulb went on. And from there she realized that she has put up limiting beliefs right from her childhood about putting cookies together with love. And that is often how we develop some limiting beliefs from our childhood that often lead to eating behaviors and of course some other behaviors. So this is something today I want to explore more, how you actually can realize what type of behavior or coping behavior you're actually experiencing and how to overcome this. My name is Andrea Caprio and I am really passionate working with people together to help them overcome any unhealthy eating behavior and lose weight or improve their health in it. As I mentioned, we all have some form of eating behavior, often deeply seated in our past behaviors. So here are some emotions that lead to emotional eating. You want maybe to grab a pen and paper and just write them down and just go with me here and find out what is the most likely behavior or emotion that's underlying the behavior you are having. So a lot of people eat when they're actually happy. Most people think we only eat when we are sad, but many people eat more and overeat when they're in a social setting and happy. Also, people eat to ignore or soothe stress. And additionally, stress depletes the body's energy stores, increases cortisol levels, leading more to stress and then to eating more. Of course, the stress response is a very unhealthy response, as we all know and practice too often. Many people also can eat because of anger, and it can create the desire to eat to control your anger and to express to anger. Emotional eating can also be an unhealthy coping mechanism when you're frustrated. It is common for people to use food as an unhealthy coping mechanism in the face of grief, as food is often the way to comfort during funerals, wakes, or vigils. Fear and anxiety is one of the many emotions that lead to emotional eating, right? So often when we're anxious, we actually try to eat to overcome our anxiety. Watch out. And then, of course, self-doubt is something, when we have a low self-esteem, we try to overcome this with food, right? To make us feel better and more self-worthy. And some people eat because they don't know what to do else and try to overcome boredom. When people are sad also, they just try to use food to help them overcome their sadness. And lastly, guilt is something that is often related to overeating, because in the end, when we overeat, we feel guilty and we eat more to overcome that guilt. So it makes us just feel worse and worse, leading to a vicious cycle. So what type of emotions are you feeling that lead to eating in a certain way? I'm wondering. I would love you to type this in the comments so I can find out a little bit more about actually what it is that leads you to overeating. Now let's move on to the 10 steps to overcome your unhealthy eating habits. Number 1 is to do my quiz. My quiz what type of eater are you, you find the link in the description. And this is really a great way of, a fun way of becoming aware actually of what type of eater you are. Because in the end, awareness is one of the most important things to start doing changes. Number 2 is becoming aware of what type of eater you are, right? So I said it already, that is really, really helpful. And then number 3 is really to become aware of the triggers. Now you want to pay attention. Is it maybe stress? Is it a certain type of event that stresses you out, which makes you eat, or whatever it is, right? And just writing it down, which leads me to number 4 is journaling about how you feel when you eat, right? Or tracking maybe your food and see, okay, can you pick up what type of emotion you are feeling after you eat certain type of foods? It gets me to number 5. Think about what it is really the origin of your eating. Maybe it's something in the childhood, right? Like I mentioned earlier, Jane had. Maybe it's some event that led you to overeat, or maybe it's a feeling you had in your childhood that you just kept on doing and doing and doing. And then, of course, very important, number 6 is get clear of the consequences of your behavior, of the unhealthy behavior, right? So what is the consequence of you stress eating when you're stressed, right? Usually the consequence is that when you eat stress, it leads to guilt or shame or to more overeating, or it leads to more stress, it leads to putting on weight, or it leads maybe to just to health issues or so. So become aware of what it leads to. And then, of course, it's really important about forming a new belief. So if you think, oh, I need to eat to overcome my stress, you know the stress will not get better with the overeating. But for example, maybe by addressing the stress in another way. So instead of eating, I could breathe is, forming a new belief. Or if you're eating because you are feeling unworthy, you could maybe form a new belief, I am worthy, right? And I don't need food to make me feel more worthy. And then you can, number 8, meditate and or help you to overcome those issues you might have had, right? And just observing while you meditate, observing what's going on, your thoughts, your feelings, is often sometimes leading to your answers. And number 9 is to let go of this old belief and maybe sometimes even practice forgiveness. And then replace your belief or your habit rather with a healthy habit, or avoid the trigger. So by practicing what else you can do instead of this unhealthy coping behavior you had before is really what helps you to overcome this. So I wonder now, what can you do to start? So first of all, remember those 10 steps I just shared with you, and you can again see them in the description, where there is a link to my blog post where you can get those 10 new behaviors that you can form. So check out my blog post, and of course do the quiz. The link again is in the description. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to get more tips. And as mentioned, check out in the description for more resources, other videos that help you to overcome unhealthy eating behavior and reach your weight and health goals. My name is Andrea Caprio, and thank you so much for being here today.